Ethan Cole always believed appearances were everything. In the world he worked in, glass offices, polished shoes, expensive smiles, people didn't ask who you were. They asked what you looked like. And his wife, Lena, didn't fit the picture anymore. She wore simple clothes. She carried herself quietly. She never bragged. And worst of all, she looked poor. At least, that's how Ethan saw it. Lena and Ethan met years ago, before money entered their lives. Back then, Ethan admired her intelligence. Her calm strength. The way she listened more than she spoke. But time changes people. Ethan climbed the corporate ladder fast. New friends. New ambitions. New ego. Lena stayed the same. She still took public transport. Still avoided luxury. Still believed respect mattered more than status. And slowly, Ethan began to feel embarrassed. One afternoon, Ethan received an email that made his heart race. Annual Global Business Summit. Top executives. Investors. Media. Attendance mandatory. This was his chance to impress. To be seen. To belong. But as he looked at Lena across the room, folding laundry, dressed simply, his excitement turned into irritation. He imagined her beside him at the event. And he hated the image. That night, Ethan made a choice. A dangerous one. He called Vanessa, his girlfriend. She was stylish. Confident. Perfect for pictures. "Come with me to the summit," he said casually. "My wife doesn't fit into that world." Vanessa laughed. "Are you sure?" Ethan smiled. "Trust me. No one will notice." He didn't know how wrong he was. What Ethan didn't know was this. Lena wasn't poor. She wasn't weak. She wasn't unaware. She simply chose silence. What Ethan never asked was where her money came from. Why she never needed his. Why powerful people always answered her calls. Because Lena owned something Ethan had only dreamed of touching. Years before marrying Ethan, Lena had inherited a struggling company from her late father. Instead of announcing herself, she rebuilt it quietly. No interviews. No social media. No public credit. She believed true power didn't need noise. And now, that company was sponsoring the very event Ethan was attending. As Ethan packed his expensive suit, Lena asked gently, "Should I come with you tomorrow?" Ethan didn't even look up. "No," he said quickly. "It's just business. You'd be bored." Lena nodded. "All right," she said calmly. But inside, she understood everything. That night, Lena made a phone call. Not angry. Not emotional. Professional. "Yes," she said into the phone. "I'll be attending the summit." A pause. "Yes, as CEO." Ethan went to sleep believing he had everything under control. What he didn't know was that the stage he was walking onto belonged to the woman he had just replaced. The ballroom of the Grand Meridian Hotel glowed like a palace of glass. Crystal chandeliers reflected off polished marble floors. Men in tailored suits moved with rehearsed confidence. Women in elegant dresses smiled like they owned the room. This was Ethan Cole's world. And tonight, for the first time, he felt like he truly belonged. Ethan stepped out of the black luxury car first. He straightened his jacket, adjusted his watch, and offered his arm. Vanessa emerged beside him, flawless, confident, stunning. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Ethan felt a surge of satisfaction. This, he thought, is what success looks like. Not the quiet woman at home folding laundry. As they walked toward the entrance, Ethan noticed familiar faces. Colleagues. Competitors. Executives he desperately wanted approval from. One man leaned over and whispered, "Didn't you say you were married?" Ethan laughed lightly. "She couldn't make it," he said. "Business priorities." Vanessa squeezed his arm tighter. Ethan mistook it for support. It was something else. Inside the hall, Vanessa shined. She laughed at the right moments. Spoke confidently about markets she barely understood. Mentioned Ethan's job title like it was a trophy. People nodded politely. Some smiled. Others watched closely. Not impressed. Curious. At the center of the room stood a massive digital screen. Welcome to the Global Business Summit. Sponsored by Lenara Holdings. The name echoed everywhere. People whispered in admiration. Do you know the CEO? No interviews, ever. Powerful. Extremely private. Ethan glanced at the logo, unimpressed. Just another big corporation, he thought. He had no idea. While holding a drink, Ethan overheard a conversation. The CEO of Lenara is attending tonight, someone said. Ethan scoffed. Probably another old man hiding behind lawyers. Vanessa laughed. Ethan smiled. Completely unaware he was insulting his own wife. The doors opened again. No announcement. No spotlight. Just a calm entrance. A woman in a simple but elegant black dress stepped inside. No excessive jewelry. No loud confidence. Yet the room shifted. People turned. Executives straightened their posture. Security moved discreetly. Vanessa noticed first. Who is that? She whispered. Ethan followed her gaze. His smile froze. It was Lena. His wife. Walking calmly into the world he said she didn't belong in. Not lost. Not embarrassed. Commanding. Ethan's heart began to pound. Why is she here? Did she follow me? Is she trying to humiliate me? Vanessa frowned. Isn't that your wife? Ethan swallowed hard. Yes, he muttered. I don't know what she's doing here. Something strange happened. People approached Lena. Powerful people. They shook her hand. They smiled with respect. They listened when she spoke. Ethan watched from a distance. Stunned. This wasn't the woman he ignored at home. Vanessa leaned closer. Why are people treating her like that? Ethan didn't answer. Because for the first time in his life, he didn't have one. The lights dimmed. A host stepped onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he said. Please welcome the CEO of Lenara Holdings. Ethan's breath stopped. The spotlight turned. And Lena stepped forward. Ethan stood frozen. The woman he called poor. The woman he replaced. Was about to address the most powerful room in the city. And everyone was listening. The room went silent. Not the polite silence of networking events. But the kind that presses against your chest. Every conversation stopped. Every glass froze midair. All eyes turned toward the stage. And Lena walked forward. She didn't rush. She didn't smile nervously. She moved with calm authority. The kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are. The host stepped aside. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, voice full of admiration. Please welcome the CEO of Lenara Holdings. Applause erupted. Thunderous. Unquestioning. Respectful. Ethan felt dizzy. His ears rang. CEO. This has to be a mistake. He searched Lena's face for hesitation. There was none. She stood at the podium like she had done this 1,000 times. Because she had. Vanessa's fingers tightened around her clutch. CEO, she whispered. Your wife is the CEO. Ethan couldn't answer. He couldn't breathe. Moments earlier, he had mocked the company. Now the CEO was the woman he had dismissed as worthless. Good evening, Lena began. Her voice was steady. Clear. Confident. I'm honored to welcome you all tonight. The screen behind her lit up. Charts. Global markets. Massive acquisitions. This wasn't decoration. This was power. For years, Lena continued. Lenara Holdings has invested quietly, strategically. She spoke about partnerships Ethan had only read about in headlines. She spoke about decisions that moved markets. Every sentence pushed the knife deeper. Ethan realized something terrifying. She wasn't pretending. She was brilliant. As Lena spoke, Ethan's mind drifted. He remembered nights when she stayed up late working. He remembered ignoring her ideas. "You worry too much about money," he once said. She had only smiled. He remembered the day he met Vanessa. How he complained about Lena being simple. How he enjoyed the attention. How easily he replaced loyalty with ego. And now, that ego was being crushed publicly. People began whispering again. But this time, not in admiration. They looked at Ethan. Some recognized him. Some recognized Vanessa. Understanding spread like fire. Vanessa's face drained of color. "You said she was nothing," she hissed. "You said she depended on you." Ethan finally spoke. "I didn't know," he whispered. Vanessa stared at him. Not with love. With disgust. "Success," Lena said calmly, "often hides behind silence." Ethan felt exposed. Because Lena had been silent. And he had mistaken silence for weakness. Lena paused. Then she said, "Sometimes, the people closest to us are the ones who doubt us the most." The room understood. Ethan knew. Those words were for him. Ethan's phone buzzed. Messages from colleagues. From investors. From people who now saw him clearly. Not as successful. But as small. Vanessa stepped back. "This is your mess," she said coldly. "I won't be part of it." She turned and walked away. Ethan didn't stop her. He couldn't. As Lena concluded her speech, her eyes scanned the room. They landed on Ethan. Just for a second. No anger. No sadness. Just recognition. And that hurt more than hatred ever could. Ethan stood alone. Exposed. Ashamed. The woman he underestimated had just reclaimed her power. And he hadn't even seen the worst yet. The applause faded. Conversation slowly returned. But for Ethan, the world remained silent. He stood in the middle of the ballroom like a ghost. Visible, yet unseen. Everyone knew who he was now. And worse. Everyone knew what he had lost. Ethan watched as people surrounded Lena. Executives. Board members. Investors. They laughed with her. Respected her. Listened. The same room that once made Ethan feel powerful now made him feel painfully small. He walked to the bar, hands trembling. The bartender hesitated. Then poured the drink anyway. Ethan stared at the glass. He didn't drink. He couldn't swallow the truth. He felt it before he saw it. Lena was walking toward him. Not rushed. Not angry. Purposeful. Every step tightened the knot in his chest. They stopped a few feet apart. The noise around them faded. For a moment, they were alone. "Lena," Ethan whispered. She looked at him. Really looked. Like she was seeing him clearly for the first time. "I didn't know," Ethan said quickly. "If I had known." She raised her hand. That single gesture silenced him. "You didn't know because you never asked," she said calmly. "You never cared to." Her voice didn't shake. That hurt more than shouting ever could. "I built Lenara long before we married," Lena continued. "I never hid it." Ethan frowned. "You never told me." "I spoke," she said softly. "You just didn't listen." She reminded him of conversations he dismissed. Ideas he ignored. Nights she stayed up working. While he chased validation elsewhere. "You measured my worth by what I gave you," she said. "Not by who I was." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I was ashamed. I thought money defined success." Lena didn't argue. Because she didn't need to. "I don't need revenge," she said. "I don't need to humiliate you." Ethan looked up, hope flickering. She extinguished it with her next words. I just need distance. I'm filing for divorce. The word landed heavily. Final. Unchangeable. Please, Ethan begged. Let's talk. Let's fix this. Lena shook her head. Fixing requires respect, she said. And that was broken long before tonight. She handed him a card. Her lawyer's name. Her assistant's number. Professional. Cold. Kind. All at once. I loved you when you had nothing, Lena said quietly. And you left me when you thought I was nothing. Ethan collapsed inside. Lena turned. She didn't look back. Not once. The room parted for her. She walked out. Not as a wife, but as a woman who reclaimed herself. Ethan stood alone. No wife. No girlfriend. No dignity. And tomorrow, the real consequences would begin. Sunlight spilled into the apartment he once called home. But it no longer felt like home. Lena's side of the bed was untouched. Her wardrobe, half empty. Ethan sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at the floor like it held answers. It didn't. His phone vibrated. One message after another. We need to talk. Your position is under review. The board is concerned. Then the one that crushed him. Your employment with Crestline Group has been terminated. Ethan dropped the phone. By noon, the news had spread. Executives distanced themselves. Investors avoided his calls. His reputation, once carefully built, collapsed overnight. Not because Lena attacked him, but because the truth revealed him. Ethan walked the city streets aimlessly. The same streets he once judged others on. Now he blended into the crowd. Invisible. At a cafe restroom, he looked at himself. Tired eyes. Slumped shoulders. He whispered. How did I become this? The answer stared back. Pride. Days later, the papers arrived. Fair. Precise. Undeniable. Lena didn't take revenge. She took her freedom. Across the city, Lena stood in a glass office. Sunlight reflected off skyscrapers. She signed deals. Led meetings. Inspired teams. But something had changed. She smiled more. Lighter. During a keynote interview, a reporter asked, How did you rise so high without anyone knowing? Lena answered calmly. Some people grow quietly. Not because they're weak, but because they don't need applause. The world listened. Lenara Holdings expanded. Women-led initiatives. Ethical investments. Empowerment programs. Lena didn't just succeed. She uplifted. Months later, Ethan found work. Smaller. Humbler. No titles. No spotlight. Just responsibility. And reflection. He volunteered on weekends. Helped where he once judged. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He knew he didn't deserve it. One evening, he received a letter. No return address. Inside, just one line. May you learn what I had to survive. No signature. Ethan closed his eyes. And finally understood. Success doesn't announce itself. Worth isn't measured by money. And the most dangerous mistake a person can make is underestimating the one who loves them quietly. Some people don't shine loudly. They wait. They build. And when the moment comes, they don't seek revenge. They seek truth. If this story moved you, like, subscribe, share with someone who needs this lesson. Because stories like this change lives.